Hey everyone, welcome back to CyberBee. This is the channel where I share what I learn in cybersecurity as I go. And I thought today we would talk about what's happening in current news. About a month ago, actually, so I'm a little bit late to the game. But let's talk about how this kid, Malone Lam, allegedly stole $230 million in Bitcoin from a wealthy individual. So let's play a few clips.
This is Malone Lam, 20 years old, Singaporean, and he shot to infamy overnight for allegedly carrying out one of the largest crypto thefts from a single person in US history. And then he went on a spending spree, dropping obscene amounts at nightclubs in Los Angeles, gifting handbags.
Do you see the sign back there on the left? It says, I'm being humble. Being humble, dropping obscene amounts at nightclubs. Great.
Worth tens of thousands of dollars and amassing a collection of more than 30 luxury cars. So, what was he doing in America and how did he pull it off? First, here's what we know about when Lam got to the US. He arrived in October 2023 on the US Visa Waiver Program, which allows tourists to stay up to 90 days without a visa. Fast forward, and it's been more than a year, and he's clearly overstayed his welcome. Court documents also revealed that Lam had no permanent residence while he was in the US, and he wasn't employed, so essentially he had no legal status there. Nonetheless, he apparently
So already right off the bat, we know that he's a rebel.
toggled between LA and Miami, where he was eventually caught. Now, let's look at the scam, one of several since at least August this year that landed Lam in trouble with the feds. Online, Lam goes by the monikers Anne Hathaway and Triple Dollar Sign. His partner in crime, Jean-Biel Serrano, calls himself Versace God and at Skidstar. They came up with a plan to scam someone in Washington, D.C. We'll call him the victim. They chose him because he was a high net worth investor from the early days of cryptocurrency. A lot of planning went into hoodwinking the victim. Prosecutors called it sophisticated social engineering. It's basically a fancy term for someone gaining the trust of another in order to extract sensitive information.
Okay, let me pause here and just give you a bit more about social engineering. So it's the manipulation of people to divulge secret information or to perform actions that compromise security. So some common examples would be phishing, which is exactly what happened here. It's like fake emails or messages used to trick users. There's something called baiting, so offering something enticing like, say, free software to lure victims into compromising their security. There's also tailgating, which is following an authorized person into a restricted area. I'm not really sure how that happens because don't people know when somebody's following them? Anyways, there's also impersonation. So pretending to be somebody else that they're not to gather confidential data. So say like coworker or IT support person, something like that. And in Security Plus, what we learned was there are 6 principles of social engineering. So one is authority. So attackers impersonate somebody with authority. So say like a VP or IT support or somebody from a bank. Right? 2, consistency. So they're going to ask you to do certain things and they're going to keep asking because based on your past behavior or attitude, you're more likely to continue those actions, right? 3, likeness or liking or social ability is basically, they're really charming. They have to be. They're persuasive, they got riz, and people trust those that they like. And therefore, they're more likely to do the thing that they are requested to do. 4, reciprocity. So they might start off by giving you some attention, doing you a quick favor, and then asking you to do something back in return, right? Because that's just human psychology. 5, scarcity. So making something appear very limited or rare to create urgency. So for example, I need this report in an hour, or, I can only offer this, until the end of today, something like that. And then lastly, social proof. So just like, reading reviews on Google, people are more likely to take action if they see other people doing it. And now back to the show.
Their modus operandi worked like this. The goal was to make the victim think that his Google account was being compromised. In the week leading up to the theft on August 18th, a third person was roped in to send him notifications. These were fake alerts of unauthorized Google account access, and the attempts also looked like they originated overseas because Proxy and VPN services were used. So imagine if you...
Okay, so let's talk a bit about VPN and proxies. So essentially, both VPN and proxies are tools to mask your internet traffic. They just work slightly differently. So a proxy is kind of the medium between you and the website or the service that you're trying to access. So when you use a proxy, your internet requests, like visiting a website, first goes through the proxy server, and then the proxy server forwards that request to the website. So there's like just something in between that kind of acts as a buffer. And so the website will see the proxy server's IP address instead of your IP address. So kind of some use cases for proxies. So you can like bypass geo restrictions. So for example, if you're trying to access the US Netflix in a different country, you can use a proxy. You can accessing restricted websites at school or work. I've been at a workplace before where Facebook was blocked and stuff like that. So when that happens, you can actually use a proxy to bypass these restrictions. Okay, VPN stands for Virtual Private Network. It is essentially a secure encrypted connection between your device and a remote server. And so this protects your data from being intercepted by anybody. And it hides your IP address as well from the websites that you visit. So it's a private tunnel for your internet traffic. So what would you use it for? Enhanced privacy and security, of course, because there's encryption in it, especially at, public areas where there's untrusted networks, like say an airport or like a cafe. It also bypasses geo-blocked content. So similar to proxies, VPNs can also mask your IP address. So it can make it look like you're accessing content from a different country. So for example, if you've ever been to China and you want to access, say, Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, all these things that is not typically accessible there, VPN. Access private networks remotely. So VPNs is also what remote workers use when they need to kind of access their company's internal network from outside of the office. I've also done that too. Okay, back to it.
You kept getting multiple notifications saying that someone was trying to get into your account. How would you feel? Worried? Bingo. Cue Lam and Serrano. On August 18th, they called the victim pretending to be from Google's support team, saying that there had been an attempt to hack his account and they needed to shut it down. They convinced the victim to divulge his account security codes. Lam then allegedly accessed the victim's OneDrive and Gmail, where he found the victim's Gemini crypto records. There are screenshots of conversations between Lam and Serrano as evidence. And then, to make it more believable, Lam and Serrano then upped the ante, calling the victim and this time pretending to be from Gemini's security team. They convinced him that his accounts had been compromised and then got him to transfer about $3 million worth of crypto into a wallet controlled by Lam. They then got the victim to download a remote desktop connection program for security. He agreed, and this gave Lam and Serrano real-time access to his computer. All this time...
Okay, I just got to pause right there. So how does a millionaire fall for a scam? I don't understand. Like, don't you have people on your team that deals with this? Or, I don't know, something? It just seems very... I don't know how that happened. Because... I guess I just equate millionaires to really smart people who are very savvy about everything, but I guess that's not the case. So either it's that, or, this was a very well thought out, well planned out, well executed scam that these three kids were running. It just seems very dangerous because if somebody like that crypto millionaire, like the victim, can fall for a scam like this, then so can everyone else, like the everyday people like you and I. Which is really scary.
Remember, they're still on the phone call. Serrano allegedly manipulated him into opening various files on his computer, including those with private keys to his Bitcoin. While Serrano was on call with the victim, Lam used the access keys to steal more than 4,100 Bitcoin, worth more than 230 million US dollars at the time. These screen recordings track how they did it step by step using a mirror program.
Okay, that is just stupid. Why did they record themselves committing crime? Let's keep listening to this.
And you can see Lam's Anne Hathaway and Serrano's Versace God display names here. So, what did they do next? Well, Lam and Serrano allegedly laundered the funds through various mixes and exchanges using peel chains and digital wallets. And then the opulent spending spree. Travel, nightclubs, swanky cars, jewelry, watches, designer handbags, and ritzy rental homes.
That's also really dumb. Why didn't they leave the country? Why didn't they lie low? Isn't that what like movies teach you too? Like, don't spend the money. At least they try to clean it. But like, that makes no sense. So why are they trying to flaunt their wealth that they got from somebody else? That makes no sense. Okay.
Lam bought 31 luxury cars, including custom Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and Porsches. Some were a cool $3 million US dollars. 22 of these are still missing as of September 24th, including this one. Serrano rented this house in California at $47,500 US dollars per month. Lam also splurged on multiple home rentals in LA and Miami, including on Hibiscus Island. One had a monthly rent of $68,000 US dollars. Lam also went big.
That's like somebody's annual salary, $68,000 that they're spending in 1 month to live in a home, to live in a rental, no less.
At nightclubs in Miami and LA, burning through about $500,000 US dollars each time. But the fun didn't last long, and their extravagance was short-lived. On September 18th, exactly a month after the theft, Serrano was arrested at Los Angeles airport after he came back from the Maldives with his girlfriend. She tipped off Lam, who immediately deleted his Telegram account. On the same day, Lam was nabbed by police in Miami.
If that's him, he's pretty tall.
According to the Miami Herald, the FBI raided this posh waterfront home, said to be a celeb favorite Airbnb rental. And at another house, they seized cars and watches. Lam was charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering in a U.S. District Court in Florida on September 19th. On November 14th, he appeared before a judge in Washington, D.C. for a pre-trial hearing to discuss the disclosure of evidence. That's where he requested a speedy trial, which means that the trial cannot be delayed indefinitely. His attorney, Scott Armstrong, told us, Mr. Lam is 20 years old and unfortunately caught up in a very complicated case.
Hold on, so he's only 20 years old. Isn't the legal age 21 in the US? So why was his name revealed? Don't they isn't he considered a minor and they have to keep that confidential? Don't know.
It will vigorously defend him. Lam is currently in remand in Virginia, and he'll return to court on January 9th next year for another pretrial hearing. For each offense, he faces up to 20 years in jail, and he could be fined up to $250,000 US dollars, or up to twice his gains from the scams.
Okay, so that's the end of this video. I do have another one. This is a pretty good video from CNA, but here's an even better video by Cybernews.
This week's story is so crazy, if a movie's not already in the works, you can bet your Bitcoin that it will be. It involves the heist of $250 million in crypto, the failed carjacking of a Lamborghini, and two rival crews flaunting their crimes online, basically fighting for the title of world's dumbest criminals. $250 million! No boy. Plus some social engineering.
That was the recording of them committing crime, by the way.
A secret online crime forum, and Anne Hathaway. Who are the wannabe gangsters behind the failed Lambo jacking? Why did they do it? And how are their rivals, a bunch of dorks, involved in the colossal crypto theft? Better bag it and hashtag it, boys. Looks like we got ourselves another cybercrime. Okay.
This guy's such a dork, but I love it.
viewers, Josh here from Cybernews, and we're going to hop right into this one. It may seem a bit weird, but the best way to tell the story is a little bit out of order. So we're actually going to start at the end with the crazy scene that brought this insane case to public attention to begin with. We tap into our story on August 25th, 2024 in Danbury, Connecticut, when a concerned citizen calls the police
911, what's your emergency?
and reports a car accident and kidnapping. A Honda Civic plowed into the rear end of a sunburst yellow Lamborghini Urus on Damia Drive in Danbury. Then a white van cut in front of the Lambo. 3 men dressed in black jumped out and yanked a couple from the luxury car. They punched the man in the face, hit him with a baseball bat, threatened to kill him, and then tossed both passengers inside the van and sped off. A surveillance video and various eyewitness accounts fill in the gaps. Shortly after the report, responding officers discover the yellow Lambo abandoned in a wooded area, and the white van crashed nearby. When they open up the van, they find a 50-something couple inside, bound with duct tape. Sushil Cheadle, a VP at Morgan Stanley, and his wife, Radhika Cheadle. Sushil's been badly beaten with a baseball bat. Witnesses allege that multiple kidnappers fled on foot. Acting on these reports, police tracked the Civic to a nearby short-term rental property in Roxbury. There, they arrest 6 suspects, all Florida men aged 18 to 26. But why did they target this random couple in Connecticut? All right, this might sound a little random, but stick with me here. To understand the kidnappers and why they targeted the Cheadles, you first have to understand the COM, the criminal social network they belong to. The COM is an online forum where crypto scammers go to share intel, talk shit, and just generally hang out. But most importantly to our story, the COM is where crypto criminals go to flaunt their wealth. And it seems some of our wannabe gangsters were well-known quantities there, according to a release by the U.S. Attorney's.
Okay, so right off the bat, he's giving us way more information than the first video did. And secondly, I guess that kind of explains why Malone was flaunting his wealth.
Office in the District of Connecticut. The men are Angel Chichi Barrero, 23, Josue Sway Romero, 26, Ronaldo Ray Diaz, 20, Tony Pena, 23, Michael Rivas, 18, and Ricardo Ricky Estrada, 21. We know a little bit more about 2 of these guys thanks to a fantastic article from Krebs on security. According to Krebs, Ronaldo Ray Diaz was a flashy cybercriminal with a taste for designer clothes and expensive jewelry. Diaz gained notoriety under the alias Pantic on Telegram for orchestrating smaller cryptocurrency heists, and his reckless behavior included robbing 2 close friends at gunpoint. And Chichi Barrero was the young, ambitious organizer of the carjacking and extortion scheme. Barrero, only 23, already had a violent past, including an arrest for an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon in 2022. So why did these 6 Sunshine State screw-ups target 2 random Lambo owners in Connecticut anyway? Because they believed the Cheadle's son, Veer, had access to a shitload of crypto. Now, by all outward appearances, 19-year-old Veer Cheadle was a promising young man. In 2022, he completed Harvard's Future Lawyers program and even got a call out for his accomplishments on his high school's website.
His high school website? So he goes to a Catholic school. Interesting. Hope he went to confession.
So how is this nice young man related to the kidnappers? Well, it turns out Veer led a double life. When he wasn't accepting plaques for his academic achievements, he developed social engineering scams to steal crypto online. And you guessed it, he did this with his own crew of buddies who also frequented the COM. They were the dorkiest group of criminals you've ever seen, and included our boy Veer Wiz Cheadle, aka Swag, 20-year-old Malone Lam, who also went by the alias Anne Hathaway of Miami and Los Angeles, 21-year-old John Diel Box Serrano, aka Versace God of Los Angeles.
If you've noticed, the first video compared to this one, they didn't even mention Veer. It was just these 2, Versace God and Anna Hathaway, right?
And
Oh, and this dude. Interesting. So there's like 2 other people that wasn't even mentioned. So this highlights the importance of doing your own research and kind of looking at multiple sources at the same thing to come up with your own conclusion of things.
Akash, aka Light Dark. And looks like we don't have photos for Box or Light Dark. Now, the guys in Cheadle Squad weren't violent gangsters. They were more like the dorks from Superbad.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
Well, it turned out Wiz and the boys were somewhat well-known scammers, and they'd recently boasted on the COM that they'd come into an incredible amount of crypto, 243 million to be exact, through one of the most brazen social engineering heists of all time. And And thanks to the reporting of an anonymous crypto crime investigator named Zach XBT, we can fill in the blanks in our story, because the guy did an amazing job OSINT investigating the super bad boys.
Wow. I would like to take a look at this. Where would I get this from? Maybe on Twitter?
According to Zach XBT, the heist went down as follows. On August 19th, 2024, the boys, at Cheadle's direction, launched a spear phishing social engineering attack of a Genesis creditor and stole $243 million in Bitcoin. Spear phishing is a highly targeted and personalized form of social engineering attack in which the cyber attacker customizes the fraudulent email or message to appear as though it comes from a trusted source to deceive the target into taking harmful actions like clicking on a malicious link or downloading malware. In this specific spear phishing attack...
So just to pause and give some commentary, before in the past, I don't know, maybe like 3 or 5 years ago, all of these phishing emails, you can spot them a mile away because it's usually written with spelling mistakes, grammar errors, and a bunch of stuff that just doesn't really make sense. Versus the actual email that you get from the organization, like it's got the logo, nothing seems out of line, it's perfect English, so on and so forth. But now, because of AI, the scammer is getting more and more sophisticated, and the emails that they're sending are looking more and more real. So sometimes it is hard to discern.
Greavies, assisted by bots, acted as the primary phishers. They posed as tech support from Google and Gemini and called the victim from...
Okay, so do we want to just look at that? Hi, no name, or maybe he blanked that out, I don't know. Due to the recent upgrade, we are unable to validate informations about your account. So that's wrong. There's no name. No, they probably blanked it out because the 2 is not even there. From Google account at blah, 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 blah. This doesn't even make sense. Google support, re-verify your information. Remember that. Okay. We require you to kindly update your account so that we can complete the validation process. Click here to proceed. Regards. This email was sent to blank on this day by Google-team. Okay. Like there's so many things here this is clearly not correct. So, the font here is a different size or even different font altogether than what's up here. And then the name doesn't sign off, or maybe they deleted that on purpose, don't know. And then there's this, Google's team, doesn't even make sense. And that doesn't look very HD, like it looks kind of fuzzy, that G, it's not very high definition. Okay.
From Google and Gemini and called the victim from a spoof number to trick them into thinking their crypto wallet had been hacked so they would reset their 2FA. Then they got the victim to share screen access via AnyDesk, which then exposed their private keys from Bitcoin Core. This allowed Cheadle and the crew to access the victim's Bitcoin wallet and transfer the $243 million in Bitcoin to themselves. Now, we don't have to speculate about how any of this happened because the super bad boys were so super stupid that they made a screen recording of their Discord server during the actual heist and then shared it to the comm.
So they shared their recording themselves to that community? Like anyone could have ratted them out. What the heck? Maybe there's some like unspoken trust there. I would doubt it. It's like a group of criminals. But I'm also very curious now to who do you think the victim is? This really like high net worth individual in Washington, D.C. Maybe a politician, maybe a celebrity, maybe a business owner. It's just still so crazy to me that somebody who has amassed such wealth could fall for a scam that 4 20-something-year-olds put together with, clearly fake phishing emails like that.
After that, Cheadle and Akash attempted to launder the stolen funds, using crypto mixers to conceal the origins of the Bitcoin before they then distributed the shares to the rest of the crew.
You can check yourself, you moron. I'm not taking your money.
However, what they didn't realize was that Zach XBT was on the case, and he tracked the fund transfers through the blockchain and figured out who the culprits were when their screen recordings accidentally revealed their real identities. Not only that, but once he figured out who stole the Bitcoin, Zach XBT snooped their socials and collected evidence of how they spent their ill-gotten gains, following a trail of, by some accounts, $500K a day of spending sprees that led to couture fashion, multi-$100,000 parties at nightclubs, gifting Birkin bags to models and porn stars, gaudy blinged out jewelry, and fleets of supercars. The level of...
Okay, so either in this one or another video I was watching, somebody called Malone the modern day Robin Hood. And I'm like, that's such the wrong label to put on him, because Robin Hood stole from the rich and gave to the poor. Meanwhile, this guy is just partying and giving away expensive handbags, Birkin bags, to porn stars and models. Quite a big difference if you ask me.
Hubris was just off the charts, especially with our boy Anne Hathaway. Though I have to admit, you'd almost want to root for the guys if it wasn't also juvenile and cringe and stupid. Because of their ridiculous self-incrimination, Zach XBT nailed them to the wall with irrefutable evidence of their guilt. Video documentation of the heist, how the money flowed into each of their accounts, and even how they spent it, meaning there was no way for them to wriggle out of responsibility for what they'd done. So knowing that, here's how our whole puzzle comes together now that we have all the pieces. Veer Cheadle and his friends identify the Washington, D.C. based victim. They use social engineering to steal $243 million in Bitcoin from them and run it through crypto mixers to launder the crypto. They live large and flaunt their scam on the com, raising red flags with the rival crew of wannabe gangsters, who hatch a plan, fly up to Danbury, Connecticut, and kidnap Veer's parents while they're out house shopping in their Lambo. The plan fails, and police arrest the wannabe gangsters as they're trying to escape. I, for one, can't wait for the sequel when Wiz, Versace God, and Anne Hathaway go to jail. As of this recording, Zach XBT reports that more than $9 million of the stolen crypto has been frozen, and $500,000 has been returned to the victim. It's a far cry from the $243 million, but I guess it's better than nothing. Plus, on September...
Okay. So 243 million in Bitcoin. 9 million has been frozen, and only 500K has been returned to the owner. That's a huge difference. Like, I would say 243 mil is generational wealth FU money, right? 9 mil, not so much. Like, it's definitely not FU status. I suppose if you invest it correctly and kind of, don't spend so frivolously, you can invest it, grow it, and it can become generational wealth. But far cry from 243. Oh man.
September 18th, 2024, the FBI raided a waterfront mansion in Miami believed to belong to Box and Greenies and seized a bunch of luxury cars parked there. According to Justice.gov, the 6 wannabe gangsters face federal charges in connection with a violent carjacking and kidnapping incident in Danbury, Connecticut. They're charged with conspiracy, which carries a maximum sentence of 5 years, and carjacking, which carries a maximum sentence of 15. Finally, when it comes to our super bad boys, the Miami Herald reported that agents in Miami arrested Malone Lam, 20, who has residences in Miami and LA, according to a Justice Department statement. And in California, the FBI arrested Johnny Al Serrano, 21. They are charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and conspiracy to launder money, according to the indictment. As of the time of this recording, according to Krebs on Security, Veer Cheadle has not been publicly charged with any crime, which is why sometimes, for those who crave immediate justice, the best place to get it is the comments section.
That's funny. Why was he not charged with anything? Does that make any sense? Just because his dad is the VP of Morgan Stanley? Because he's rich already? That seems very... Didn't they all have a part to play in this? What? Why did he get away with it? Makes no sense. Okay, this next little part, he is just reading comments. Let's skip ahead to this.
Look, we've had a lot of fun here today, but before we say goodbye, let's talk about something serious. If you think you've been scammed in the world of cryptocurrency, don't panic, you're not alone. First, report the incident to your country's relevant law enforcement agencies. In the US, you can contact the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, IC3, at www.ic3.gov. They specialize in cybercrime and have experience investigating cryptocurrency-related fraud. You can also reach out to organizations that provide victim support and resources, such as the National Cyber Forensics and Training Alliance, NCFTA, a nonprofit organization that works to combat cybercrime in collaboration with law enforcement and private companies. Or the Crypto Recovery Alliance, which offers guidance and support for recovering lost or stolen cryptocurrency. Lastly, if you suspect ongoing scams or phishing attempts, contact your local consumer protection agency or report the fraud to the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, at reportfraud.ftc.gov or Action Fraud in the UK. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode, and don't forget to like and subscribe. We're really going to have to hustle to find a story this crazy for the next episode. See you next time. Bye.
Okay, I did like and subscribe. And so the resources that he gave were very much geared towards our US audience. So I wanted to give some resources in Canada. So one of the places that you can report fraud is the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre. The website is freaking way too long. They should really get a better domain here. But it's anti-fraud center anti-fraud, that's in French, .ca. And then you can report fraud, you can protect yourself, you can browse scams. I guess they collect a bunch of, scams that happened in the past and what to do if you're a victim. So I think this one's pretty helpful. Another thing you can do is report it to the police, especially if it's like large scale fraud with financial loss and threats like that. There is, of course, 911, right, for immediate use. There's also a non-emergency line. You can also contact your bank if the scam involves financial loss. So if phishing leads to like unauthorized transactions or something like that. Okay, so when you contact your bank or your credit card company, they can freeze accounts, they can probably reverse some transactions and prevent any future harm. I myself was a victim of credit card theft. They didn't take my physical card, so I think like they probably cloned it and they started using it in places that I wasn't. And when I caught on to it, called my credit card company, they were able to freeze the account, give me a new credit card, and then reverse all the transactions as well so that I wasn't paying out of pocket for it. Okay. Another thing that you could do is report it to the Office of Privacy Commissioner of Canada. That's if your personal information has been compromised in a phishing scam or a fraud. Okay, they can help with, it's called OPC. OPC can help with cases related to identity theft and privacy breaches and whatnot. If it involved a business, so if the scam involved a business, like they had fake services or products or something like that, you can file a complaint with BBB, Better Business Bureau. It's not law enforcement, but they can help resolve customer complaints and warn other customers, right? So all these resources are you protecting yourself and also protecting others. Next up is there is the Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity. So you can report the incident to them. For example, if it's a data breach, if it's a malware or targeted phishing attack, you can report it to these people. And there's a lot of information on here that you can take a look at as well. So there's like scam alerts, vulnerabilities, information for individuals, small, medium businesses, academia, government institutions, and big organizations. And lastly, there is a anti-phishing working group, APWG. It's not specifically in Canada. I think it's like a worldwide type of a thing. So this is specifically for, cybercrime, for phishing scams, and yeah, it's an international organization dedicated to fight phishing. And you can report it here so they can track and shut down phishing websites. Interesting. Cool. So that's it from me for today. I hope we all learned something. I know I did. And thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to watch another video for hands-on cybersecurity. As always, leave your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. Stay curious and see you in the next video.